Artificial intelligence has become the main strategic commodity.
And this industrial revolution is about the production, not of energy, not of food, but the production of intelligence.
In the past, countries were fighting over energy and territories. Not anymore. In the new era, the only resource that matters is intelligence. Artificial intelligence. China and the West have clashed in a fight of titans. And the stakes are high, because the winner will take the world.
We really are on the edge of probably the biggest technology revolution that has ever existed. There's supposedly a sort of a Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. Well, we live in the most interesting of times. The most interesting.
This technological revolution was started by this person, Jensen Huang. Remember this face, because without him, AI would not exist. An immigrant from Taiwan, his first job in the US was a dishwasher at Denny's. There, at Denny's, he started a company that created technology that now powers almost all modern AI on this planet. A dishwasher who conquered the world. His company is called NVIDIA.
I've never seen anything like it. And this is why you see NVIDIA's market cap being so gigantic, because they currently have the best neural net chips. I think didn't NVIDIA's market cap exceed the GDP of Canada or something recently? Anyway, it was quite high.
Yes, you heard it right. NVIDIA, that one single company, is now bigger than Canada. Why? Because this company makes the only strategic commodity of the modern times. Here is NVIDIA's most advanced AI chip. This is the most complex and most valuable technology ever built by humankind. Its value is $2 trillion, which is 200 times more than the budget of the Large Hadron Collider, and almost 22 times more than the cost of ITER, the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. This chip is the most complex and expensive mechanism ever built by humankind. This AI chip, this technology, is so valuable because it changes almost everything we humans do. We are all about to witness the Great Divide. The world is about to be split into two clubs: AI haves and AI have-nots. And those who will be in the AI have-nots club, it will be almost like a technological desert. And those in AI haves club, they will have superpowers. It's AI Great Divide. There was one country that knew it from the beginning. This is why for more than a decade, China was trying to achieve AI supremacy, to get into the AI haves club.
Huawei, China's top chip maker, have built an advanced processor to power its latest smartphone. It's a sign that Beijing is making early progress in a nationwide push.
And just a few months ago, China has finally created its own chip comparable to the modern Western chips. All this time, Chinese Dragon was obviously not sleeping. It was working hard preparing for the battle. The battle for the only strategic commodity. The battle where stakes are high, where stakes are the world dominance. Who will control the AI future? Who will prevail? Who will dominate the world? As an AI expert and a former Forbes columnist who had spent more than 5 years in China, I'm going to share my take on it. This is an AI pyramid. It has 3 main layers. On top of it are applications. This is what most of us usually see when we deal with AI. For example, that was YouTube's AI algorithm that has decided that you need to watch this video. YouTube is an application that uses AI. Both China and the West already have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of applications that use AI. So it would be fair to say that here at the top of the pyramid, the East and the West, or the China and the West, are more or less at par. They're like equal. By the way, when we say West here, we mean the Western civilization as a whole, as a concept, which besides US, UK, European Union, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, also includes South Korea, India, Japan, and Taiwan, the so-called democratic or free world. I hope I didn't forget anybody. But if I did, let me know in the comments and we're going to fix it. Okay, so we are back to the pyramid. We have just seen that the top of the pyramid, where all these AI applications are crowded, is where China and the West are more or less equal. Now we go to the middle. Here we have AI models. We can think of them as of very large files. And these files have been trained on historical data, so basically they know what happened in the past. And if you ask them a question, for example, when YouTube asks the algorithm which video it should show to you, the algorithm will look into your history and the history of other people like you and will pick a video which most likely you will enjoy. Besides recommendation algorithms, there are many other different types of algorithms. And one of them has recently become especially popular: ChatGPT. Where does China and the West stand regarding the models or the algorithms? Well, it is a tricky question. Technically, all major breakthroughs in AI algorithms were made by the West, more specifically by Canada, which is home to convolutional neural networks, the first AI breakthrough, and the US, home to transformers, the algorithm behind ChatGPT. By the way, the letter T in ChatGPT stands for transformers. We're gonna hear a lot about transformers in the next few years, so there will be a separate video about them. Don't forget to subscribe. Technically, all major inventions here in the middle of the pyramid, they all came from the West. China is lagging here. But, and this is a big but, as we said, AI models are essentially just a file. It's an incredibly easy to replicate. Sometimes it is as simple as copy-paste. So each time a new model or a new type of an algorithm is invented, you can be fairly certain that soon the whole world will have it. Now we move to the bottom, to the foundation of the pyramid, the hardware. AI needs special chips, a special type of processors, accelerators or GPUs. These accelerators are much more complex than traditional CPUs, the chips that we all got used to see in the normal computers. Here, this is a chip that we have already seen. It is NVIDIA's H100 model. As we already know, this chip or this technology worth more than Canada. Well, more than Canadian GDP to be exact. It is the most complex and valuable mechanism created by humankind so far. This is a chip that ChatGPT is trained by. Here's a video of Jensen, our dishwasher boy, handing his first AI chip to OpenAI, which later was used to train ChatGPT. Here on this table is a brain of ChatGPT. And it is an American brain. It is an American chip. But as we will see soon, companies from almost all over the developed countries have a piece in it. They all contributed to it. It is a technology of the Western civilization. The foundation of the AI pyramid belongs to the West. Or shall we say, belonged? In August 2023, Huawei, which is China's main smartphone manufacturer, has released its first phone with a modern chip made in China. For a long time, China was lagging in chip manufacturing. It could not produce its own modern chips, which is why it was buying, well, and still buying, chips from the West. China, for example, is importing more chips than it is importing oil, and it imports a lot of oil. But now, China has developed a chip manufacturing technology that puts it almost at par with the Western rivals. The consequences of that are hard to underestimate. China now can independently produce modern chips. This means new generation of military drones, smart missiles, Chinese ChatGPT, AI-driven cyber attacks. China is no longer dependent on the Western AI chips. China has got access to the only strategic resource, artificial intelligence. What this means is that the bottom of the AI pyramid is no longer Western only. China has become an AI superpower. It has won the AI war. Or maybe we're missing something. To understand the AI chip war, there is one thing about China that we need to know. In the storm of the AI war, two recent news went virtually unnoticed. First, China has just become the world's largest car exporter. And second, China has completed the world's largest high-speed train system. I promise you, this is relevant. We cannot understand the AI chip war if we do not understand what China did to the Western car and train manufacturers. Don't switch off your attention. This will lead us directly to the AI chip war. So 2 decades ago, Chinese automotive sector was virtually non-existent. And now, China has become the largest car exporter in the world. China has been successful in replacing the Western car manufacturers out from the global automotive markets. From now on, the world will be driving Chinese cars. This is not an opinion anymore, this is a fact. 20 years ago, China had no high-speed train industry, zero. And since then, China has built domestic high-speed train system that is larger than train systems of the rest of the world combined. I have been on almost every major high-speed train station in China, and I can compare it with other countries. Chinese system is a true wonder. It is the largest and the most successful transportation system ever built. From zero to becoming the world's leader in cars and high-speed trains. This is an absolutely astounding achievement. How did China do it? We need to understand it if we want to understand the AI war. So how did China defeat West in cars and high-speed trains? You may say, well, China just copied technologies. Well, things are not that simple. Take a look at other countries, for example, Russia. Moscow invested enormous amount of money trying to copy Western technologies and build its own automotive, high-speed rail and semiconductor industries. Russia achieved nothing. Money simply disappeared. Russia's automotive industry is in Stone Age, at least 40 if not 50 years behind the world. Okay, maybe not that much behind as the Top Gear guys show us. It's obviously an exaggeration, but still quite behind. All Russian high-speed trains are made abroad, and Russia doesn't even have adequate repair and maintenance capacity for them. And the best microprocessor Russia can currently make is 90 nanometers, which is roughly technology of the late 1990s. It's a quarter of a century ago. And if our sources tell us accurate information, even those 90 nanometers processors have multiple issues. And this is after billions and billions of dollars invested. The case of Russia tells us one thing: blind copying doesn't work. China knew it. Beijing knew that just copying technology and throwing money into it wouldn't do much. So China has created its own unique hybrid approach. It is a so-called gardener approach. Here's how it works. First, the government, like a gardener, decides which technologies should be developed, or which plants it wants to grow. To do that, the government looks at what works in the rest of the world, and then it selects the best, the most proven technologies. Then the government, like a gardener, provides fertilizer and water, or in other words, funding. And then private Chinese companies, in pursuit of profit, acquire and develop these technologies. The growth itself is left to nature. In other words, the government decides what to grow and private businesses grow it. It's a hybrid garden approach. The government prohibited direct import of Western cars to China, so Western car manufacturers had to form JVs with the private Chinese automotive companies. In some cases, like Volvo, Chinese companies were buying Western companies outright. And then, driven by profit maximization, Chinese private companies were making one business miracle after another. As a result, technologies were transferred. In less than 2 decades, China has got all necessary technologies and has become #1 car exporter in the world. The gardener created the plant and environment, picked the plants, provided initial funding, like added water and fertilizer, and then the private companies, motivated by profit, did the rest. It's a garden. A very similar approach China used in high-speed rail. The government created a plan and provided funding. Then private companies formed JVs with Japanese Kawasaki, German Siemens and Canadian Bombardier. So after a few trains purchased, Western JVs partners suddenly discovered that they are no longer needed anymore. JVs were abandoned, technologies were copied and reverse engineered. and then private Chinese companies replicated the trains on scale. This is how the Chinese high-speed network was built. For example, here on the left side are the Western trains, and on the right side are the new Chinese trains. If you can find 10 differences, let us know in the comments. The Chinese high-speed train system was built by the gardener, who took seedlings, reverse engineered and replicated them, added fertilizer and water, and then let the nature do the rest. It is a gardening approach. The gardener has won. It is remarkable how readily the West is selling its own technologies. It seems like this is some sort of a fundamental feature of the Western capitalism, pursuing short-term profit at expense of a long-term planning. All what matters is the next quarter profit, and who cares what's going to happen after that, right? In the Western companies, decisions are usually made by salespeople, people who are compensated for the next quarter or next year result. What happens to the business and the technology after that is not of their concern. This is why the planning horizon of the Western civilization has shrinked to 1 quarter. The Western national security systems, or the Western immune system if you wish, they all fell asleep, lulled by the profits. And in just 2 decades, China has transferred all technologies that it needed, including cars, trains, electronics. Profit is all what matters.
I'm just trying to make a little money.
Ironically, this is exactly the reason why the West is so capable of building these amazing new technologies faster than anybody else. Because in these systems, the dishwashers with brilliant ideas, they get funds, and they build technologies that become bigger than Canada. Because profit is all what matters.
I'm just trying to make a little money.
It is some sort of yin-yang of modern Western business. You create technologies better than anybody else, and then you give those technologies just basically for nothing. Anyhow, it is because of this Western short-sighted sales mentality, of the sleeping national security systems. This is why the Chinese gardening approach was working so well. China has become a very, very good gardener. So first were cars, then trains, and then
Huawei, China's top chip maker, have built an advanced processor to power its latest smartphone. It's a sign that Beijing is making early progress in a nationwide push to overcome US sanctions.
Huawei announced its new smartphone with China-made 7nm chip, and that has become the news #1 in the world. Because Huawei has sent one simple message. Just like with cars and trains, China has become the gardener of AI. A wave of memes ran across China, laughing at the patsy Americans who have just given their AI for nothing. And this is how China has got a place in the foundation of the AI pyramid. It's a well-deserved place, because in the end of the day, in the wild nature, it doesn't really matter how you get there, as long as you get there. And we certainly live in the wild. Hold on for a second. Yes? Yes, boss? I'm sorry, boss. Yeah, sure. I will figure out something. Yep. Washington just called me. They told me that I'm too harsh on the West and pushing too much the Chinese agenda. They told me that I have to say something nice about the West. Well, what could that be? What does it take to build a car? Well, a modern combustion engine car consists of approximately 30,000 parts, and it takes a few hundred key suppliers that produce these critical parts. But very importantly, all of these suppliers are interchangeable. If for whatever reason you cannot work with one supplier, you can always find another one. Now let's take a look at NVIDIA's H100 chip. It also has approximately 35,000 parts, but most of them are produced by suppliers that are unique. Because the technology is so new, there is simply no other similar supplier anywhere in the world. Let's take a closer look at one of the suppliers. NVIDIA chip is produced not by NVIDIA, but by a Taiwanese company TSMC, which is the only company in the world that is capable of manufacturing 4nm chips, which is a chip manufacturing technology that NVIDIA 100 chip needs. TSMC factory is the world's most complex manufacturing facility. One TSMC chip fab, and this is how these factories are called. They're called fabs. So one fab costs $11 billion to build, and it has more than 280 distinct technological processes with many thousand suppliers. Let's dive even deeper. Here's one of the TSMC's suppliers, ASML. This is a Dutch company that produces printers, so-called EUVs, or extreme ultraviolet lithography. These machines, these printers, they are used in making chips. And each printer costs more than $380 million and weighs more than 100 tons. ASML is the only company in the world that makes a specific printer that is needed for each 100. Nobody else in the world currently can manufacture this printer. ASML itself is one of the largest and most complex tech companies in the world. It has 14,000 R&D researchers. And to make that printer that we have seen, ASML needs 5,100 suppliers. Let's go even deeper. One of those suppliers is, for example, Carl Zeiss, a German manufacturer of optics equipment. It exclusively builds optics for ASML, and each optics machine weighs 12 tons and has 1,200 suppliers. And this goes on and on. It goes deeper and deeper. This is the world's most complex supplier system. To build one H100 chip, it takes tens of thousands of suppliers, and they are all interconnected. They are all dependent on each other in one way or another. It is a symbiotic ecosystem. It's like one huge organism. It is a jungle. Another feature of automotive and high-speed train technologies is that they are static. They're even stagnant. Indeed, there hasn't been many changes in this industry, in these products for the last few decades. Cars as well as trains are pretty much fundamentally the same. These are technologies that have matured, they have plateaued or stagnated. On the contrary, chip manufacturing is the most dynamically changing system in the world.
What I'm seeing in terms of AI compute is I've never seen any technology advance faster than this. The artificial intelligence compute coming online appears to be increasing by a factor of 10 every 6 months.
I myself, as an AI developer, I cannot stop being amazed or shocked sometimes about how quickly my own AI expertise depreciates. What was novel, what was innovative and new just a couple years ago, now it's almost like a stone age. And I sometimes have this feeling that I'm like a Neanderthal, writing an AI script, AI code on a wall of a cave. And it is not just the whole AI jungle that is evolving so fast. No, it's like every tiniest bit of this ecosystem, every single supplier, every single product, everything is evolving as crazy as hell. Although I'm not sure how quickly hell evolves, but basically it just evolves amazingly quickly. Take the chip design, for example. Previously, chip design was done by humans using very complex software. But just recently, NVIDIA, together with its partners, announced a breakthrough. They have developed Kuliso, a next-generation software that uses AI to increase the speed of chip design by 40 times. 40 times! Basically, what this means is that the AI is designing AI chips. It is a flywheel of a chip evolution. A new technology enables even newer technologies. And again, think about this. It's AI designing AI. When a flying wheel rotates that fast, it is simply impossible to copy, to replicate it. You are either a part of this wheel or you are in a technological desert. AI chip manufacturing is an enormously complex jungle, and each tiniest part of it is evolving with tremendous speed. And while this jungle, this enormously complex ecosystem in this wild growth stage, it is simply impossible, physically impossible to copy and replicate it. A gardener cannot replicate a jungle. A gardener cannot defeat a dishwasher. China knows this very well, which is why China was trying to proceed quietly and patiently waited until this AI evolution slows down a little bit, until it matures. In the meantime, China was acquiring talent. Sometimes it was paying up to $700,000 in sign-in bonuses. Well, of course, this was the money paid for the top-notch engineering talent, but nevertheless quite impressive. China was also forcing the foreign fab companies to transfer their fabs, those huge factories, chip factories, into mainland China. They actually were quite successful in this. Here you can see the map of the fabs in mainland China. Many of them are quite obsolete, but nevertheless, they are there. China was quietly preparing for the moment when AI chip technology would be mature enough, so when the flywheel slows down a little bit, so it could be replicated, it could be copied and taken over, just like China did with cars and bullet trains. Because this is what China is very good at: patient waiting. China is a very patient gardener. And then this happened.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Putin invaded Ukraine in February 2022. The invasion has shocked the West. But even a bigger shock came when China joined Putin. To the dormant Western world, it suddenly became clear that its AI technologies are about to be used against it. And the Western immune system began to wake up. Just as a side note, it appears that the Western immune system that doesn't have a well-established tradition of considering China as a threat. Using our biological cell analogy, the Western immune system doesn't have antibodies for China. But it very much does have antibodies for anything that has a name of Russia or USSR on it. So the moment China openly supported Putin, the Western immune system started to produce antibodies for China as well. And then, after a few months of exiting hibernation mode and acknowledging the new reality, it has begun. The chip war started to unfold. The chip war has begun. October 2022, the US government has announced the first AI entity list. 2 months later, a few more critical Chinese chip manufacturers were added. In March 2023, Netherlands had restricted export of even DUV printers. And DUV are the lithography printers that of a previous generation. They are suitable for printing like legacy chips. Then Japan has restricted export of chip equipment to China as well. In October 2023, a third entity list followed. And then finally, in March 2024, the US government restricted AMD and Nvidia from selling even low-performance AI chips and equipment to China. The West has cut off China from the AI technologies. In the meantime, details about China's most advanced chip, the one that was used by the Huawei to produce Mate Pro 60, details became known. It was discovered that the Chinese chip was produced on old Western equipment. It's just that China has managed to upgrade that old equipment so it could produce more advanced chips. This means one thing: China has not replicated the entire jungle. To produce that Huawei chip, China has simply replicated just a small part of the AI jungle. It has fine-tuned the very last step of the process. How serious is that? Well, if the entire AI jungle is accelerating 10 times every 6 months, and you have replicated just a small part of it, how sustainable is this? Not very much. It is way too early for the Chinese strategy, for the gardening strategy to work. Until the AI technology is mature, or let's say it this way, the AI jungle is tamed, China won't be able to copy it. Putin has become a vaccine. He has triggered the Western immune system, activated the defense instincts of the Western civilization. Putin has forced the Chinese gardener to do a false start. While the AI jungle was not ready yet, it was still in a wild stage, not tamed. And just with that one move, Putin has cut China from the AI technologies. The so carefully planned and prepared Chinese strategy of AI domination is now ruined. Now China has to make a big decision, a decision with two choices. One is to join the camp, the club of AI have-nots. But in this case, who's going to buy cars that do not have the most advanced AI? Who's going to buy electronics that doesn't have the latest ChatGPT? By joining the AI have-nots camp, China would scrap all those results that the country has achieved in the last 50 years. Deng Xiaoping would not be happy about it. And the second choice is to join the AI haves club and keep the hope of getting the AI dominance one day in the future when the West will have become complacent and sleepy again. Does it mean that China has lost? Well, this is an equation with many unknowns. China definitely got defeated on the AI front, got defeated by the dishwasher. So it failed to get an AI weapon in its armory. However, China has another weapon, equally deadly, if not even more deadly, and that is inflation. We spoke about it in this video. Washington just called me. They told me that I'm too harsh on the West and pushing too much the Chinese agenda. They told me that I have to say something nice about the West. Well, what could that be?